Well, look, you are obviously the mortgage expert, and we have a lot of people ask us about how easy it is to get a mortgage here. And I try to explain in my own way, and it's really the affordability that people really need to get to grips with. A lot of people from perhaps the UK think they can get an 80% mortgage where they can't. So it would be good to nip that one in the bud. And also how the bank assesses you based on your net income compared to what the mortgage amount is. So that's always an interesting conversation.
So first and foremost, yes, mortgages are available. Yes, do consider them because it can be a very useful tool to buy the right type of property. As a non-resident, people will see online that you can get 80, 90, 100%. That's not true.
Yeah.
The average for a non-resident is between 60 and 70%. 70% is the ceiling, it's the maximum. You can only go down from there.
Right.
And Spanish banks are very risk averse. They had a pretty bad time with the credit crisis, and so they look very, very much into the profile. So I say the 4 C's of lending. So you've got your capacity to pay, which is your income and your expenditure. The collateral, they look at the property itself. Is it in a good location? Is it built well? Is it a rural property? Okay, so the next one is your commitment. How much cash are you actually going to bring to the table yourself? So how much risk are the banks going to be looking at? And also your character. What kind of history do you have? What employment do you have? What track record do you have? So they look at all these things and they look at them in detail. So you've got to tick every single box. So affordability is very important. And each bank will look at that and won't make a lending decision until they fully assessed the application.
Right.
So what I would suggest is if you are thinking of buying a property in Spain and you are looking at getting a mortgage, get educated, get informed about your mortgage options before you actually start making offers and wasting vendors' time, house hunting. Spanish banks will allow you to get pre-approved, and so therefore you can be what we call mortgage ready before you actually start making offers, and we strongly suggest that you do that.
I would love all of my customers to have spoken to you before they speak to me. Then we get a real budget of what they can actually buy for.
Makes 100% sense. Even if you end up deciding that you don't want a mortgage, you should still get informed about the possibilities of what mortgage could do for you. Because, it could get you an extra bedroom.
Yeah.
It could get you a sea view, which makes the investment a million times better. And that's essentially, it's not just lifestyle that we're doing here, right? We're doing it for assets, for investment, long-term investment. So if you can buy the right property, it will be a much better investment.
We were talking about this off camera, right? The average American has 20% of their net worth in property and 80% perhaps in the stock market.
Yeah.
In Europe, we have the converse, 80% in property, 20% in the stock market. And I believe in balancing. So let's say you can actually buy in cash, but you can also get a great mortgage through you. You could probably keep some of that cash and invest it perhaps in something which will be put in the stock market, in tech stocks, and make a spread on that. So I think that's an interesting approach.
You've made a great point. We're doing a lot of work now for American buyers.
Yeah.
And they're right. They've got a lot of money invested in stocks and they have stock portfolios and everything else like that, which is really quite interesting. Something, again, in Europe, especially in the UK, we're not used to that. And they're mad for leveraging, i.e. borrowing mortgages. And why do they do that? Well, at the moment, they're getting, 3% on average, an American. Well, they can borrow in the US at 7, 6.5, 7.5. You've got a choice. Do I take money out of my stock portfolio where I'm earning 10, 12, 15%, or do I pay 3%? They're all jumping on the mortgage bandwagon.
Of course they would, yeah.
They're perfect clients for us. And so, let's take I really like the way that they look at it, and they look at a mortgage as a financial tool to get them to where they want to be. And they're being smart with their money.
Yep. They are. I would say the average American's got better financial acumen than the average European, especially in the stock markets and spreads of interest rates and things like that.
I made this point earlier. I've been dealing a lot with private banks over the last 3 years. Private banks are, for high net worth individuals. And a lot of British wealthy people don't really fit the private banking sort of profile because Brits are generally mainly invested in property. Mm-hmm. They normally have commercial property, buy-to-let property. Private banks don't seem to really find that too attractive. Why? And over the last 3 years, because I grew up in the UK and property was always the main thing, I was asking myself, why is that? Why do they not see? And it's because you invested into one asset class, mm-hmm. which is property. And looking at what we're seeing from American clients is that you need to be invested in different things. So property is just one thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got all the other bits and pieces that you can, like you say, like stocks and bonds and everything else like that. So it's quite interesting. And crypto.
Yeah. It's very common now, especially some of our young entrepreneurial clients, perhaps they're Czech, big crypto portfolios.
Can't quite yet buy a property in Spain with crypto yet.
No, you can't. But at least you can make whatever the compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin is. I think we're looking at maybe up to 100% a year. Make great money and then cash out and use that as your deposit for your property.
Are you encouraging your kids to start investing already?
Yeah, my son does. My son, speaking of crypto, he's bought a couple of Solana. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I think we mentioned this already, if you're young, it's not like the baby boomers where the stock market will just increase 10% and every year and you can buy a house with one salary and a car. Perhaps a wife could be a stay-at-home mom. It's totally different. If you're a young person today, you have to take more risk in order to generate the net worth to have money to put a deposit down on a property.
And to have children and
to have all these other things.
Yourself, yeah. Which is what everyone wants to do, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay, Stuart.
Thank you.